Alright, now we got it. Human versus human. Thorzain going up against Mackay here in the clan war. And the issue right now is that I'm actually hosting, so Melting Valley is currently the map. Down to the bottom left, we have Mackay in purple, and up to the top right is opponent in the baby blues, Thorzain. Thorzain actually like playing a fantastic series earlier against Enter. That one game was absolutely nuts. And yeah, we're going to see how exactly that's going to work out for him now in the second game that he plays today. Actually, it's the third because he played it 2-on-2 as well. Human versus human. I certainly hope that we're not having any games parallel to that, because there's a couple in that list that look really tasty, and I want to make sure that I'm not going to be stuck alone in a mirror match while those matches are happening, especially since Sonic, for example, and Cash are supposed to be playing. So we're going to see how that works out later. But yeah, for the time being, let's see how that's... this is a best of 3, by the way, how this is going to go. So yeah, it's not a best of 2, just mentioning it because earlier the Nations War that we had was a best of 2 series, so this is actually a best of 3, and we'll see who's gonna take it there. But yeah, Scout Tower already in the main base, pretty early actually. I mean, like, he's really starting to play this defensive from the get-go. But yeah. I mean, seeing the Thorzain alone in the game again is actually like pretty awesome. I talked about this a bit earlier, but it's just so cool to come back to an RTS and all of a sudden see all the names that you're familiar with. Like watching, for example, Todd's stream is just like super fun. Naiden streaming again, seeing him, even Mad Frog, like all these guys coming back, not only playing but now with Twitch also regularly streaming. It's just absolutely amazing. It's like tons of fun just seeing all these names again. And I can't wait for Reforged to come out and some of the tournaments to pop up to see all of them also competing again against each other. I mean, some of them have a bit more of a focus on streaming right now and might not even join a lot of the tournaments, but just in general, seeing a few of them making the competitive scene again is just absolutely great, especially depending on, of course, how that's played. But yeah, that Scout Tower pretty early in the game is still a bit weird to me. I mean, that really feels like way too early in the game for him to throw that out, considering that there's not really a chance of that early of an harass happening with anything. So, not sure. But yeah, we're gonna see how that's gonna work out, because ping so far seems to be okayish for the two. Again, we are in a bit of a weird scenario where I'm actually hosting from the US West Coast right now, from California, and so far at least it seems to be okay for them. With the host bots being down in the newest patch, it is still a bit of an issue for Blizzard in general. So Thorzain currently with the Archmage level 2, and in terms of items, got the Ring of Protection +2, whereas we have on the other side for the Archmage the Gloves of Haste. Can take a wild guess which item you would prefer here. The ring... it's kind of funny, because especially when you watch Todd, like, he is very lucky when it comes to the first items that he usually gets in through his creep pattern. And I can't even count the number of times when he ended up with a ring +2, and he's pretty annoyed about that as well. Like, it's a pretty shitty item to get, especially when your opponent is a bit luckier here. Scroll of the Beast and Mantle of Intelligence +3. Pretty cool items actually for the Archmage. I mean, if you try and pull a push off, having the Skull of the Beast can be fantastic. Later on in the game, once that we are seeing a lot of priests joining the fun and starting to fall off in value because there's too much dispel on the other side. But especially in the earlier stages of the game, there's a lot that you can get with that particular item if you play your cards right. Outside of that, we're actually seeing now also Potion of Invulnerability for the Archmage of Thorzain. Creep goes pretty well for him, already hitting close to hitting level 3, and both of them just playing a bit of a passive game. It's a big map, and especially the diagonal positions that the two of them have, it's kinda difficult to really go cross-map and try to get a lot of pressure going there. For now, it's just trying to get the Archmage to level 3, get the level 2 Water Elemental, and in this case we even have the Rune of the Watcher for Thorzain. Claws of Attack +9, really not too shabby. I mean, in terms of damage he gets still a bit out of this. You know, seeing the Ring of Protection still in the... Nah, okay, now he sells it. I was already about to wonder. I was just like, okay, he still sells the Spider-Man socks, gets rid of that stat item, which makes a lot of sense, but at the same time he keeps the ring. Sells that, gets the boots instead. For the Archmage, that's great, but especially once that you're hitting your tier 2, you want to pass that over as well, and you can really put the pressure on. For now, this is actually an interesting standoff. Not quite... Okay, now he sees it. And immediately as the creep is done, the two of them going at it. Ring of Protection +2 now also dropped on the side of Mackay. We're going to double check in the main base in a second what's going on there, but for now it's just a bit of a micro battle, and Thorzain is doing fairly well here, taking the water elemental down and also took apart one of the Forest Troll Berserkers. No tech into tier 2 just yet. Keep complete. Wait, what? Keep completed already. The expansion approach that we are seeing here from Mackay against the fast attack that we have on the side of Thorzain with that Alchemist that he already has, and that's an insane amount of pressure. He has that Scroll of the Beast that we've been talking about earlier. Really helps you in this early stage. But then again, didn't hit too many units with that, and another Footman down. Really well played by Thorzain. Militia coming in now as well, and this could actually be really tricky, especially with those claws +9. He gets so much damage in against those footmen, already pushing them back, and the towers here, only an arcane tower is done, and there's of course going to be a continued amount of pressure from Thorzain right now, and Mackay is trying to do whatever he can to somehow withstand that, but he has already dropped fairly low. 33 supply for him. There's a lot of worker supply too. Thorzain sitting at 35. Has also put a farm up here to the top next to the mercenary camp, and is now starting to add the Arcane Sanctum, a double Arcane Sanctum. So it's going to be early casters for him, whereas we're seeing Mackay just now starting his tech. So it's going to be pretty late with his second hero because of the expansion, and has to try and survive with his tier 1 units against what Thorzain is going to throw at him, while at the same time attempting to make sure that his expansion pays off in the long run. The problem with the expansion, of course, in general, is that at the beginning it's a massive money dump, right? You not only have to get the extra peasants for it, you're getting extra turrets, you have town hall that you need to build, and then a couple of structures usually around it, being it farms, arcane vault to access more items. So he's really in a position where he needs to wait until he gets a proper return of investment. And he doesn't really find any great items either right now. Ring of Protection +3. So that doesn't really help him too much. Thorzain, of course, is also starting to continue creeping. Gets a couple of stats item here, which are going to be much better for him. And he can add his own expansion now as well. With a second hero and the advanced tech, he's now in a position where he has the upper hand on the map itself. So as long as we are on open ground, there's no way the Mackay can actually take a fight properly against him, especially with that second hero in the mix. Would lose way too much. So Thorzain has the option of going for an expand or trying to crash the issue. And he is expanding. So we have level 4 now for the Archmage, level 2 for the Alchemist as well, and that is just a much better position than Mackay is in right now, even with that Scroll of Healing, which doesn't really help him too much because he doesn't have an army with this. And Holly is about to lose no, gets the heal through. Forest Troll Berserker might just survive here, even with the Acid Spray. Armor reduction is in, but it's not. Is it going to be enough damage to take that down? Nope, it's going to be close. Gets another one in, alright. So that Forest Troll Berserker is dead, gets the Priest too. Not a good moment here for Mackay. Thorzain sitting at 45 supply, 41 for his opponent. The expansion over here is being built as we speak, and you have the support of those priests as well. So going to be pretty rough for him to make a dent here in this. Alchemist, of course, with the extra experience as well, is going to give Thorzain another advantage. The Swedish player is doing extremely well here, whereas looking into the main base, the tech into T2 is just now completed. Now, it's pretty likely that we're still going to see an Alchemist as the hero choice for second, but as we said before, it's also a question of experience. So right now, Dispel against the Water Elemental already in. Expansion is done though, but the tower is dropped. Problem is there's a bunch of priests coming in. That's easy Dispel, that's easy experience. Archmage already starting to get a bit farther ahead here. Still no second hero for Mackay. There we go. But is it in the middle? Alchemist coming in. But we've been talking about that level 2 already a bit, and yeah, things are not really looking all that great for him. 45 supply for Thorzain, extra attack, makes sure that he doesn't lose anything here, but he doesn't have any turrets. That's a bit of a problem. And the one thing that Mackay definitely did, I mean, that's something you see oftentimes, is really trying to get as many mercs in as he possibly can. With him relying heavily on his own tier 1, it's very beneficial for him to get those Forest Troll Berserkers and get an Ogre Mauler as well. Just helps to replenish those numbers a little bit more, and not only rely on Footman through the entire early game. Thorzain still taking down the Footman here. Nice, another acid spray onto the line. That's going to hurt quite a bit and take one or two of them down. Zeppelin being bought as well, so that's going to help him with more harass and even the drop. Thorzain still with a claws +9, that's big. Needs to be careful though, even with the heal that he has from the priest, he has to rely on the boots of speed to get away from this. Of course it helps him also to start chasing a little bit more heavily. Here comes that scout tower again, and Thorzain is now sitting at 800 gold and 50 supply. checking over on the expansion of his opponent. Mackay with 1,000 gold, 41 supply, a little bit behind, but takes straight into castle from here on out and gets the workshop as well. Thorzain himself completely content sitting on keep. So with that, okay, there we go. Keep into castle. Gonna see knights at around the same time. Still footman harass here. And that's going to cost him, if he micros it, at least one peasant. Isn't actually surviving for now. It doesn't see it. And yeah, that footman is gonna fall. Yeah, priest's already there for the defense. The creep pattern has been interrupted a bit. In terms of items, let's see what else we're gonna get. Ooh, healing wards actually. I mean, for now, we're having Augur Lord attacked here too, and you have, of course, now the priests coming in on the side of Mackay as well. He's sitting at 45 supply, still banking up that gold. But with him now in a situation where he actually gets at least his own priests into, the problem is still that Thorzain has way more T2 units because of this fast attack. He also, of course, got more mana than now thanks to the Brilliance aura that was active for so long. So he can really start and try and get a bit more pressure. Actually, he had more priests. Wondering if there's a couple of units still at the top here, yeah? There's 2 footmen that he doesn't see right now. Actually thought that he also saved a few more priests, but nope, for now it's actually footman. Okay, there's a little bit more. And he starts to go into his own drop play now too. That being said, I mean, in terms of items, we actually have a mana stone for the alchemist, but that alchemist still hasn't hit level 2. So that's one of the big problems, that he's just so far behind when it comes to experience. And now he's also on the other side of the map. They could even force a town portal because Thorzain is already about to prepare a drop. Spellbreaker for him as well. And I mean, for Spellbreakers, now with the changes to control magic, there's definitely the chance that in the human mirror it's going to play a huge role here. And that's one of the things that we could see coming into play here from Thorzain. He's now at 60 supply against 61, but there's that drop, and that's going to cost them quite... I mean, that scout tower that he built at the beginning of the game isn't even upgraded, so it doesn't even help against water elemental. And that scout tower is immediately down. And yeah, as I said before, here's the move right away. Thorzain misses the Forest Troll Shadow Priest. Might still be able to get some damage in against Holly there. Alright. Couple of mortars. There's a level 5 for the Archmage as he gets some damage in. But yeah, that's another peasant that's very likely to fall. And Thorzain, with good damage, can now retreat once again. The town portal used on his opponent's side. Not really too much that Mackay got out of that. And in terms of supply, Thorzain now sitting even with his opponent. Going straight into Griffin Aviaries. 2 at the time. So if we're seeing knights coming in, which is definitely the case here, then you, with that magic damage that you get from the griffins, you can immediately do a lot of work here. And already an attempt at a second drop on the left side. Where is it? Alright. Yeah, and that's going to cost him a few more units now too. Third hero with a paladin, so goes into Pala, but yeah, creep on the right side, and yep, that drop should hurt pretty soon. He's gonna lose a fair amount of units now once again. Because, yeah, the human is, like, Mackay is moving back, but that's the first peasant already gone. He loses a second one, loses a third one any second. Yep, that's 3 peasants already gone, and he can take the tower down too. Can actually cancel another one as well if he really wants to. Has the water elemental still there. Could have even brought that with him, to be honest. And yeah, dispels the slow and moves away. So yeah, great job by Thorzain. Just being a pain in the butt right now, and he's doing extremely well with that. Always gets the drops in. We're having a bit of an army up here to the top, which can actually now start to creep as well. He just needs to make sure that he's able to escape here. I mean, worst case scenario, he uses the town portal. That's exactly what he does. Maybe even the attempt at taking down a priest? No, not quite. Yeah, so has to use the town portal in the end. Good job by Mackay actually to force that. But the fact of the matter is that Thorzain still is pretty ahead here with this. He still has the level 3 on the Alchemist. His Archmage is also level 5, and he has a nice amount of gold also saved up that allows him to easily replenish the town portal. He's already creeping on the side here as well with a few units that he has. But it's still a pretty big army here. 1 armor upgrade for the Griffins, looking over to the Knights. 3 attack upgrades. Holy cow. When the hell did he get those through? Damn. 3 attack upgrades for the Knights. The problem is, let's see how much those Griffins do. Now, the Alchemist is pretty good against air units, and Water Elementals are, of course, fantastic as well. We have also triple mortar teams. This is actually starting to get a little bit tricky. He needs to make sure that he repairs that quickly, even with that attack. Yep, and here comes the focus onto the mortars right away. First one down, but those two Griffins need to do work right now. Holy Fire coming in on both sides, the extra armor in play, and the Griffins, of course, the focus of attention right from the get-go here. Nice healing ward on the ground. So far not taken out, and that's a big problem here. That's actually getting a huge amount of value here. And Mackay is not dealing with that whatsoever. Staff of Sanctuary being used, and finally we're seeing that healing ward gone. But that already did work for Thorzain. Mackay drops down to 67 supply. Thorzain is still doing well here. Needs to micro those Griffins to make sure that he gets some of those Knights out of the equation. 76 supply for him and his opponent down to 70. That fight still raging on. Good damage against the Knight. The heal comes through from Paladin as the third hero, but it's still body blocked, and he might lose it after all. Barely able to move it out. Thorzain down to 70 supply right now. Level 5 Archmage. Alchemist is nearly hitting level 4. Not using the healing wards just yet, but massive amounts of Holy Fire. The priests are doing overtime here. One Knight about to fall. The second one could drop as well. Alchemist is low and gets focused, but the Knights are falling faster. And look at that Archmage. Paladin is already down. Archmage still with the Potion of Less Animal Ability being used here. And Thorzain moves back. Double healing ward on the ground. Keeps his heroes alive. 65 supply for him. And Mackay on 60 is starting to struggle. Loses the water elementals as well. More experience in the hands of Thorzain. Level 4 on the Alchemist. And he's just starting to rush through here. The Paladin is already low. Sorry, one gone, but Thorzain Paladin is low, still has a Staff of Sanctuary here. Used that quite a bit throughout the entire battle. Another one staffing the Griffin back, and this is just getting rough now. 68 supply against 69, but it's the heroes level most of all. Thorzain losing the Paladin, actually. Mackay all of a sudden able to get a bit of a headway here in this fight, taking the Paladin down just as he was about to move back here. The Archmage has already given over the Boots of Speed a bit earlier, but now 64 supply for Thorzain, and Holy is actually getting a bit more done here. No mining actually for a long time also on the side of Thorzain, as he was just repairing the entire expansion time after time. And that Archmage is way too far out. Needs to make sure that he is not going to be attacked anytime soon. It's again Griffins against Knights. Takes down the first water elemental, dispels the second, and tries to take the Knights apart. The magic damage just forces him back, at least for now. But damn, like that comeback in that fight was not too bad. The early kill against the Paladin from Mackay was a little bit worrisome, but now getting that third hero definitely helped a lot. For Alchemist, the S3, still the experience advantage on the side of Thorzain, but we're going to run into Archmages on level 6, so we could see again mass teleport as we've seen in the previous series. In a different match where the Archmage of Thorzain did absolute work against his opponent. So that's going to be really interesting to see how much he can do with that this time. Already we're having him trying to set up a second expansion here towards the top left. That being said, let me double check real quickly if I have additional items coming in here. Staff of Sanctuary, no town portal, and yeah, 77 supply. Thorzain at 73. Has the Paladin with a staff, only one staff though. Archmage has a town portal, bought that back, and Mackay is starting to creep for now. So yeah, I mean, with the expansion potentially being set up here at the top, we could definitely, I mean, if he gets the expansion up and has the upper hand from that, ooh, nice clause, then it would be, for Thorzain be already a huge victory. I mean, his hero levels alone are going to be great for him. A level 6 Archmage would be fantastic, but even a level 5 Alchemist would be great. And Paladin on 3, of course, like, way more survivable than before. And if he gets the extra heals in, now even being aggressive, trying to push through down here at the bottom of the map. They're still having mortars being built, and if the Griffins at any point in time get close to those, that would be a massive issue. Ah, nice. Gets the acid spray through and snipes those peasants one after another. Gets 1, 2, 3, fourth about to fall, and the human army just now coming down from Thorzain. Peasants. Like, the problem is when it comes to worker supply that was taken down, then Thorzain is definitely way ahead. He's taken apart that worker line over and over again. But now he's going up against a massive amount of flying machines, and those Griffin Riders just won't do anything against those, even with the enough fire that comes in right now. TP comes through, but still, Flying machines are going to do a lot of work in this game now against the Griffins. Then again, if he is able to get the inner fire through the armor alone, is going to help to let them survive a bit longer. If he is able to get a couple of items, he might be able to keep them in play and take those flying machines out before that happens. And we're going to see him with at least one Scroll of Town portal. Okay, is he going to go and... yeah, Scroll of Healing, there we go. But here comes the attack, and this is actually going to be the big one. Because right now, is he just going to go for the trade? And it seems like he does. Two of those peasants are both going to fall. Expansion to the top left is there. And no repair for now down here. Finally starting with a repair, but it's an attempted base trade. The problem is he's a little bit late to the party here. So we're going to see one tower down, second one about to fall. He gets those taken down easily, but he's going to lose his own expansion. And then we're going to see the portal on the side of Mackay. So Mackay has a good chance here, actually. 73 supply against 71. That expansion is down. He doesn't have a town portal, though. He doesn't have a TP. Damn, I assumed the entire time that he actually bought one, but he doesn't have one. So they're trading expansions. And that's a huge issue right now. A lot of the peasants have fallen as well, but there's another expand for Thorzain. So Thorzain still has income. Mackay doesn't. We also had, in the meantime, a little adventure into the main base, trying to take down the Arcane Tower a bit there, abusing the fact that there just was no town portal. Now finally the attack is happening. Expansion, by the way, still standing. Yeah, and those Griffins, they are... well, get staffed, one gets healed. They're surviving for now. But now we have 62 supply for Mackay. Still has an expansion right here. And Thorzain is sitting at 72, mining out of a base as well. Hasn't rebuilt anything over here. But yeah, that game isn't quite over just yet. Staff of Sanctuary, one Scroll of Healing. Does he have a second? Yeah, two Scrolls of Healing actually. And yep, that's definitely going to help him keep those Griffins alive. He has 2 armor already on them, 2 armor upgrades. And in addition to that, we're going to see the inner fire. So with that, that's a ton of armor that you have on the Griffins to mitigate the damage that comes from the flying machines. Big push also now, a big like creep attempt here on the Granite Golem, but Thorzain is already on the move again. Parla on 2, Alchemist nearly on 4, level 6 Archmage. This is going to be the big one. One of the reasons why the town portal earlier wasn't really needed. Once you have the mass teleport, you can of course play around that quite nicely. Hood of Cunning. Would have loved to have something different here. And now mass teleport is being used. Thorzain himself does have level 6 too. So here comes the inner fire, exactly as we said, like going for the armor, trying to use that against the flying machines. Sniping those knights now. That's what it's all about. Trying to make sure that the anti-air is gone, sniping the knights, sniping the water elementals. This spill is there. Gets that against the water elemental and takes down the flying machines. One after another. One Griffin down. Scroll of Healings are definitely needed. He's starting to let those go through. Another Scroll on the Archmage. Hasn't been used just yet, but could if he wanted to. 75 supply against 74 in favor of Thorzain. Tiny advantage, if you want to call it that. But of course, the problem is the Griffins are still there, and those flying machines are falling. And now with the anti-air gone, the Griffins reign supreme against the Knights. The magic damage just shredding through the heavy armored Knights here and forcing the move back his opponent, and immediately another quick mass teleport, this time into the main base of his opponent. Thorzain sitting at 75 supply against 77 for Mackay. The fight still going on here. Inner fire everywhere, but those Griffins, how do you deal with them right now? There's a couple of flying machines finally that he can bring to the table, but is it going to be enough? They're going to get taken down one after another. Thorzain still keeping the Griffin Riders alive as much as he can. Used all of the Scrolls of Healing for now, and the healing spray is coming through to keep those Griffins in play as flying machine after flying machine is just detonated here. Thorzain portals out, 75 supply for him against 64 for Mackay. Great game here by the Swedish human player. Has by now also another base that he's setting up here. 2 armor upgrades on the Griffins. Not getting any additional ones for now, but definitely a massive problem for Mackay. He just can't get those Griffins out of the game. That's his biggest problem. He invested heavily into the Knights. It's not only about the Knights themselves. He has 3 attack upgrades on them and has also an armor upgrade too, but against the magic damage, yeah, just going down way too quickly. Paladin is trying to keep alive what he can, and the Alchemist as well, but outside of that, it's very little that he can do with this. So here comes the level 3 for the Paladin. That's going to help a bit. having another ring of protection, but Thorzain is just looking strong now. Level 5 Alchemist is already fantastic. He has an insane amount of sustain throughout his entire army, used multiple scrolls of healing in the previous fights to keep his griffins alive, and now of course he can rely not only on the healing spray from the Alchemist, but he has also the Paladin on level 3 and nearly level 4. Should probably give the claws over to the Archmage. Bit of a mystery to me why he didn't do that already. I mean, that's +6 damage and goes again for that backline. Thorzain needs to be careful with the positioning of the Archmage here in particular. Flying machines coming in, but yeah, insta-kill on 2 of them. 2 of them immediately down, backed in the corner a bit, but he's in a great position still. Inner fire coming through, flying machines less and less being a factor here, and the focus onto the knights. One falls immediately, the flying machines are all about to be gone, and Thorzain again TPing out, moving immediately away. Holly Mackay is down to simply 59 supply, and Thorzain is sitting at 74. 2 mining bases for him against only 1. And that one only has 1,500 gold. He's absolutely starving for resources right now. Mackay is getting outplayed here in the late game by Thorzain, who's now about to hit the absolute lowest he can go for the low upkeep. 78, soon to 80. Again, the Archmage just moving to the top right now, trying to deal with the Alchemist. A lot of protection here. +9 actually in terms of armor. +12 for a sec through the inner fire. But yeah, scroll of protection, scroll of healing. Does he have another scroll of healing on the Archmage? No, he doesn't. This is nearly unbeatable. At this point, you're just starving your opponent for resources. Thorzain doing extremely well with a mass teleport again to just appear all over the map. Had a couple of great moves where he moved out of the fight straight into his opponent's main base, took the economy apart, and is doing just absolutely fantastic here with this setup. And again, we're coming back to the same problem. How do you take the air units apart? There's nothing. He has 1 flying machine. As we said before, the acid spray on the Alchemist is great, but it's just not enough. You have a few water elementals that you can throw against the Griffins too, but with all those priests and the dispel that they have, there's enough to deal with those Griffins. And it was basically that battle. If the flying machines at any point would have been able to take down the Griffins, maybe in the earlier stage of the game, it would be a different fight. But with the Griffins reigning supreme and winning the battle in the skies, this is just absolutely no way anymore for Mackay to turn this around. He can't deal with the Griffins, and because of that, the heavy investment into Knights just doesn't pay off for him. Here comes again the attack. Multiple units just going straight for the Alchemist. Healing spray comes through, has a scroll of protection, has a scroll of healing, can use both, does it, gets the heal, here's the protection, and that needs to be it. I mean, at this point, how do you deal with this? Mackay is losing more and more, is down to 52 supply, Thorzain already at 78, and he's just chasing him down. Just chasing him down. Paladin on 3s, trying to do what he can, but Thorzain simply moves out again. He goes into trade after trade, defends his own bases that got raided by a few of those knights, but he's sitting now in the high upkeep. He's sitting at this point at 88 supply, teleports in again at the top, takes the flying machines out, and the trades are working out in his favor beautifully. Mackay drops down 243, loses the Paladin, types GG, and taps out of game number 1. Game number 2, everyone. Thorzain on Terranar stand up to the top left, actually in the lead here once again. 1-0 against Mackay in this team match. And yeah, doing well. Great game in the later stages of the match in particular, throughout the mass teleport on the Archmage. Great trades for him. Mackay down to the bottom right. For me personally, I mean, what the game really came down to was the different approach of a late game army. Whereas Thorzain was going a lot into air units, heavily investing into the Griffin Aviary and then getting Griffins out, we had Mackay go into Knights and heavily upgrade them too. I mean, we had 3 attack upgrades, we had an armor upgrade for them as well. And his whole idea was to simply shut down Thorzain's army by conquering the skies with flying machines, and that simply didn't work out. We had armor upgrades for Thorzain on his air units. In addition to that, the inner fire, scroll of protection in some of the battles even coming in. And with all that armor, it was really difficult for the flying machines to just take these units out, especially since Thorzain in the crucial fights also relied heavily on healing scrolls. So he used healing scrolls, the healing spray from the alchemist, paladin as a third hero, and kept most of them alive. And with that, it was just nearly impossible for him to take those griffins out. And once that flying machines were gone, there was just nothing left anymore for him to do to try and take these griffins down. That was the biggest problem. So Thorzain's entire composition just being superior here. If that would have at any point tilted a little bit in favor of Mackay, if he would have had a chance to take those griffins down, would have been a different story. But as it stood, it was just that the dominant position in the skies was what won the game over. The knights just couldn't do anything anymore after the flying machines were gone, focused down way too quickly by those griffins. And then, of course, the play around with the mass teleport just was a bit too strong on the side of Thorzain as well. He again relies on that scout tower here in the early game, so he really likes to put this in, play a bit safe around it. Now, it hasn't really had a big effect in the last game. Seeing the normal patterns again with scouts here, or with militias, trying to go for that bit of scouting with a footman already, as we're having a focus on the small camp actually at first, not even focusing right away with the militia on one of the bigger ones. Cloak of Shadows, I mean, unless you really want to harass in the early stages of the game, or you're getting attacked by your opponent, it's normally an item that gets immediately sold. Usually, oftentimes see players maybe have it a bit longer throughout the first night. You actually get another Cloak of Shadows on the other side, but that's a big game changer. Potion of Greater Mana is always fantastic. If you're getting a quick level 3 on your Archmage and then you can execute a push, for example, with level 2 Water Elementals while your opponent just runs out of mana at some point, you can do a lot of work with this. So that definitely opens up a few more aggressive positions for Holly that he could use. Can of course also just simply use that item later on in the game, but it definitely would allow him to be a bit more aggressive if he chooses to do so, and if, for example, we see an early expansion coming up from Thorzain on the other side. But for now, it's just access to the mercenary camp that we're seeing from the Swedish player again, going straight into the Forest Troll Shadow Priest. And as stated before, it's really the Dispel that you're looking for. If you're going up against a Night Elf, you're trying to dispel the Entangle from the Keeper, but at the same time, when you're going up against a fellow human player, it's those Water Elementals that become crucial. You can try and get the Dispel in there, do a lot of damage to them immediately. And for now, both of them with the creep on the side of the camp. A lot more militia being used here by Mackay. So Thorzain a little bit light on the militia power, only getting 3 in. It's of course beneficial for his own economy. He got 2 Cloak of Shadows, by the way. How unlucky can you get? It's a shitty item to begin with, at least in the long run. And then you get 2 of them as well. I mean, that's a bunch of gold if I've ever seen that. And on the other side, Thorzain is in the exact same boat. Double Cloak of Shadows, but at least he has a Scroll of the Beast and he has a Ring of Regeneration too. So that helps him a bit here. Gets a level 3 on the Archmage. But yeah, apparently Cloak of Shadows are really the thing here on Terranar Stand today. That's 4 Cloak of Shadows that we're seeing. That's actually a bit nuts if you think about it. I guess we're gonna get some of them sold right now. But that being said, replenishment potion at least is gonna help later. If he doesn't sell it, both of the cloaks are immediately gone. Boots of Speed bought in the process. And with that, we're having the Archmage not only a level 3, but also starting to hit a little bit closer to 4. The expansion right away, and already scouted. Thorzain knows what's happening here. But here's the second hero. Again, we have seen a bit of a difference in strategy from the 2 players. Thorzain in game number 1 already went into the early attack and then with the Alchemist tried to be aggressive while expanding shortly after. But in this game now we're seeing very much the same thing. The early expansion from Mackay, no expansion from Thorzain just yet. But it's going to be a bit tricky for him to really break through here, especially with, as we said, the Potion of Greater Mana that now all of a sudden allows Mackay to have way more Water Elementals in play than his opponent. Already from both sides, the Dispel coming through here against the Water Elementals from those Forest Troll Shadow Priests. And the second hero, of course, bit of a linchpin in the strategy that we're seeing from Thorzain. The extra power that he gets through that, absolutely huge. Scout Tower is going to fall. No chance to repair that. Just goes down way too quickly. Now just a question of how much damage can he do with that. There comes that Scroll of the Beast. Thorzain with a fantastic item for that push. Holly can rely onto the Potion of Greater Mana a bit later to get more Water Elementals in, but for now he still had enough. Is trying to push Thorzain back here. But Thorzain takes takes those 25% extra damage and uses them to just wreck that entire peasant line that was sent into battle. Footmen are also falling on both sides, and it ends up with the Alchemist hitting level 2 as the Swedish human player is also building his own expansion up at the top of the map. Footman trying to take that farm down, but Thorzain going for his own expand and at the same time still doing the work down here. 35 supply against 32. Thorzain looking strong, trying to get another water elemental. More experience for him. And in an ideal world, of course, going to try and take down some of these peasants as well. There's still 2 footmen on the other hand. One of Thorzain, one on the side of Mackay, and he's starting to get the damage in against the turret. No repair just yet. There's absolutely no repair happening. But, yep, there we have it. Can't stay up for a second. Repair comes through. Level 3 versus level 2. Still no use on the Greater Mana Potion. It's going to save that for later. But good damage against the Archmage from the Swedish player. Has to move that back. But is still trying to take a few of those peasants down. And Thorzain will eventually have to retreat here. But I mean, the idea here is not really to take that expansion down. You're trying to get your own expansion up while getting your own hero a little bit higher in experience. You're trying to get the quicker level 2, level 3. You're trying to also stop the economy. And the entire thought process behind this. Nice. We get another Forest Troll down here. Forest Troll Berserker eliminated as a Staff of Teleportation. The entire thought process of this is just make sure that your opponent... I mean, look at this. No tech into Keep just yet. Whereas Thorzain now has an expansion, he has his tier 2 tech, he has a second hero, and he has that second hero already on level 2, and the Archmage is about to hit level 4. So this is about as good as it gets, really. You keep your opponent's economy low, even though he has the quicker expansion. You are still in a position where you have your own second hero, you have an expansion as well, and you have a way faster tech than your opponent. Now the one thing that Mackay has is 47 supply against only 36. So that's why he's trying to aggressively push right now, because he knows that's where his advantage lies. The problem is that we're having Thorzain now on level 4 with the Archmage, granted low in hit points, but once this expansion starts paying off, and that's what we're seeing happening right now, you can also rely on even more mercenaries. Has to use, of course, those cooldowns as well, which is exactly what we're seeing from Olia actually now. From Mackay, he gets more and more mercenaries into this, instead of Thorzain being able to acquire them. He has the resources right now, but he doesn't have the units, and he is actually struggling to get his tier 2 structures into the game. So now building them, yeah, he doesn't get any Arcane Sanction then. And the tech into tier 2 has now started for Mackay as well. So Mackay is actually doing really well, trying to keep his opponent as low as he possibly can. A slow against the Archmage might even end with him falling, but nope, is able to move out for now. So Thorzain is actually struggling. He has money. That's not the problem. His problem is that he can't spend it for anything. The mercenaries are bought away the entire time by his opponent, and at the same time what we're also seeing, Thorzain got at least the Augur Mauler, but what we're also seeing is that he just can't get these Arcane Sanctums. He's building one in the back of his base right now, but those structures should have been built ages ago already. So the initial start for Thorzain was pretty fantastic. He took down a lot of the peasants at his opponent's expansion, slowed down the tech from him as well, and got upgrades and experience for his own heroes, but he just did not get those Arcane Sanctums built in the back of his base. He built them in at the front, and they were then taken out by Mackay. The problem, of course, being that there's a level 3 Archmage and a level 4.5, level 4.5 Archmage and a level 3 Alchemist. The only thing that Mackay has is a level 5 Archmage, which, don't get me wrong, is fantastic for the level 3 water elementals, but it's definitely a big, big difference right now when we're thinking about the way that this late game is going to potentially pan out. But again, Mackay just like attacking here. Once again, moves in, has used the potion of greater mana, of course, a long time ago to get the additional water elementals in. And that's a big strength of why he's able to push through like this. Good healing spray, though, keeping that peasant line alive. And now all of a sudden, it's Mackay's first hero that is in trouble. And is completely blocked her as well in the back of the expansion. And might be forced to town portal out eventually. Second hero now bought 2 with an Alchemist, obviously on level 1 for now. But this is actually looking like we're going to see that TP for sure. Yep, Town Portal being used, Water Elemental goes down. Another one taken down in the main base. 37 supply for Mackay, 40 supply for Thorzain. Good goal on both sides, but that creep is going to get the Archmage on level 5, and then the Alchemist himself closer to level 4. So we are looking at way, way higher heroes for the Swedish player. In the main base of Mackay, though, looking that up, we have Keep Tech completed the immediate tech into Castle. Arcane Sanctum is being built right now, again with the improved lumber harvesting and a bit more creeping with the Solar Alchemist trying to get him onto a higher level. But as we said before, nearly level 4 over here. Invisibility now as well being used in the Staff of Teleportation in the inventory. So he's going to try and harass again while still creeping with the Alchemist, as we are seeing a bit of a drop play here. Goblin Zeppelin has been bought, or the attempt at drop play actually. So far, both of them playing around the Invisible Archmage. This one even with the Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. But yep, there's the level 4 for the Alchemist any second now. Has nearly taken it, and there we have it. Alright, so great for him. Solo creep also down here at the bottom of the map. But now the question, how much damage can both of them do here? Yep, reskill into Blizzard, already doing some work here. First peasant down, and down to the bottom of the map. Let's see how much we're gonna have from Thorzain himself. It's pretty much blocked here. It's a really decent wall that we're seeing. And yep, goes for the Blizzard now as well. And gets a lot of damage in actually. Okay, so the reaction on Mackay is there. But yep, both of them just trying to take down the worker line. Archmage is doesn't even have to TP out there. And yes, one priest can actually take that one down. And both of them reskilling here. Goblin Zeppelin is still there. Can start to go for the drop. Thorzain doesn't have one. Runs into the Alchemist though, but again, same problem. Alchemist just doesn't have any levels. Once more, the AoE damage coming in. Doesn't get too much Blizzard damage in, whereas we are seeing Mackay doing very, very solid work up here to the top. Another one falling. The heal spray coming in slightly too late. And the teleportation to the Archmage here after he got harassed by the Alchemist. Holly still has that Goblin Zeppelin. There's no anti-air right now that can really deal with that. I mean, there's a little bit. It's not going to be enough to take him down. So he's going to move that back. 49 supply for Mackay. And for Thorzain, we actually have 38. Mackay is doing fairly well, but there's still one thing to be considered. We have a massive amount of resources still banked up by Thorzain that he can now spend once his tech is gone. But again, he needs to deal with the harass somehow. And he's losing more peasants by the minute. Oh, actually saved by the Alchemist. Well done here. Workshop this time being built. Third hero, Paladin. And we're having also now the master training started. So we're going to see Inner Fire Wars again. Paladin also. His opponent's side. Pretty much the same strategy here with the Knight tech now heavily prioritized once again by Mackay. We're seeing flying machines now for Thorzain. He himself doesn't have any Knights just yet. And again, the peasant line being attacked here. I'm really liking the way that Mackay is currently playing around this. And a level 6 Archmage is exactly what he needs right now. I mean, that's fantastic for him. With that setup, he can now try and just jump all across the map here. Can be a complete nuisance. He shuts down mining on Thorzain's side. This game is going way better for Mackay than the first one. Initially, a bit struggling against the strong harass from Thorzain, but the counterattack that he executed was absolutely fantastic. And right now, having the ultimate already on his hero, on his first hero, is amazing. Now he's still struggling a bit in the sense of experience on his second hero, but he's certainly starting to get there. Build up Giant Strength, heavily focused now on the main attribute of the Alchemist, also boosting of course the hit point numbers on that bad boy. Whereas we're seeing to the left side, Thorzain, ooh, with a flute, gets Alara's Flute of Accuracy, not too bad. And goes into Rifleman here again, and can get massive value out of that. And let's see, level 8 Wizard about to go down. And that should give him level 3 here on the hero. Should actually move that Archmage back a little bit, doesn't, and therefore doesn't quite get the next level. But also starting to drop now quite in here, with all the AoE that he can muster. But of course, this mass teleportation is a big issue. Nice kills though. Really nice damage output against that peasant line. Needs to make sure that he gets the heroes, and he does. There's a level 3, and escapes with the Goblin Zeppelin. But again, like, he took down a fair amount of peasants here. Like, Acid Spray plus Blizzard is definitely doing a massive amount of damage in that area. So if you don't move the peasants back immediately, you're just toast. Thorzain is sitting at, yeah, just a little bit of wood problem. Shredder would be great for him right now. He's currently sitting at 1,400 gold and nearly no wood whatsoever. 50 supply for him, as we have Holly already in the low upkeep. He doesn't have any resources though. Alright. Thorzain now gets the item here, Wand of Mana Stealing, and portals out. TPs away. Sees the Knights, knows exactly what's coming. Again, the 2 attack upgrades that we're seeing for Mackay. So he's heavily working around those again. Whereas we have mortars on the other side. Has also a couple of flying machines that we still should have. Did he only get 1 to shut down the drop play earlier? Could have sworn I saw him with a few more. But yeah, apparently only 1 to shut down the drops. At the same time now though, mortar teams. And his own knights. Without any attack upgrades, by the way. And more creep attempts here by him. The one thing that I really like a little bit more from what we are seeing Thorzain do is that every single time he starts creeping, he really just moves the heroes away. We had that now a few times that we are having some experience being wasted because the Archmage on level 5 or 6 is close to the heroes. So the experience lead that Thorzain has on his 3 heroes is pretty significant. I mean, Alchemist is on level 3 here, Paladin is on 2, he comes to Portal. His biggest asset is really that ultimate on the Archmage, at least for the time being. But yeah, there comes that move. Alchemist himself for Thorzain, nearly 5, Paladin level 2 and a bit. But the army that we're seeing from Mackay is absolutely fantastic here. A nice mix between casters and knights, and of course the 3 heroes as well. Scroll of the Beast in the inventory. Once that you get rid of the mana of your opponent's priest, just wait that out a little bit. If you use that at a proper moment in time, you can get a lot done here. Just need to make sure that easy dispels are not negating that effect right away. But yeah, here's now that fight, and so far Thorzain just doesn't quite have it. Plus 2 attack upgrades against 0-0, but the heroes, they are the big difference. Good Blizzard into the back here. Nice damage, but the immediate heals that we're also seeing from Thorzain as the inner fire is coming through on both sides right away. Blizzard wrecking through those castles, and let's not forget about the 2 mortar teams that just do so much work against the unarmored units. The priest just exploding in a splash of blood. Absolutely no chance. Thorzain at 74 supply against 67 for Holly. And he still needs to kite away from this. He doesn't have quite the front line that his opponent has. Massive commitment to Knights that we're seeing again from Mackay, and he's back to 71 supply for the time being. Here comes another big Blizzard once more, but let's not forget that an ultimate on the Archmage can always pour it out. Healing Spray coming through Alchemist, not on 5 yet. Use 1 charge of the Wand of Mana Steal. Could use another one here, especially against the Archmage, of course, but Thorzain's on the run right now. Down to 62 supply against the 72 that we're seeing from Mackay. And he tries to escape here. Really low. The Knights in particular making it really difficult for his ground units to sustain themselves through. And here comes now the immediate use of the ult. Holly Mackay doing a great job here, just jumping all over the place right now. He got baited towards the right, uses the mass teleportation, drops the worker line, and tries to take out the expansion as well. Thorzain is playing a catch-up game at this point, and it's really tough for him to get anything done here. Always trying to keep up with his opponent, but it's nearly impossible. The base goes down, and Holly just moves out immediately. Super smart play by him. Definitely putting Thorzain now in a position where Thorzain has to act. Thorzain has to do something. He just can't sit tight right now. He's currently completely outmined by his opponent. Even another base going up by Holly. 80 supply for him, and we're having Thorzain down to 60. The hero levels that he has, they are great, but they just are not enough to do anything here right now. It was really that great counter push that we saw from Mackay that helped him to get into this right now. And he is getting closer and closer, forcing a 3rd game in the best of 3 series here. Great play by him. And now once again, the attack down here to the bottom of the map. A little bit lower when it comes to hit points on those knights, and to be honest, he has the resources to buy a few items as well. But we are actually seeing him just with the staff of teleportation starting to go straight in the fight. He has the scrolls of healing. There we have it right now. Can use them and does. And here comes the damage output on the side of Mackay. Just so much right now. The knights with 2-0 upgrades are just stronger. Thorzain only has a single attack upgrade. That's not really going to cut it. And we're just having Blizzard after Blizzard running through the backlines here, with Mackay in a better position. Paladin still on level 2, not 3. True for both of them here. But that Alchemist of Thorzain is now in trouble. Gets barely healed and immediately attacked again. Could even fall here. But it's the Paladin that dies first. And Thorzain is driven back as Mackay is trying to clinch out a victory in game number 2 here on Terranar Stand. His own expansion down here still in the works. Nothing for Thorzain. He has 1 mining base, and that's just not enough. It's the main base too. And we are now having, with a Reaper, another desperate ditch attempt to make sure that he somehow gets back, but the Archmage about to go down, and that is game as Thorzain types GG, leaves the match, and Mackay ties up the series and forces game number 3. Game number 3, Thorzain against Mackay in our cup here. In our clan match that we have between Clan Sweden and the Wolves. Down to the bottom left of a Secret Valley. Thorzain, after winning game number 1, he lost on the second map, and his opponent, Mackay, starting all the way up to the top right with his account Holly, has actually done extremely well on the second map. Gotta be honest with you, at the beginning of the game, it really looked like Thorzain would, with the strategy, get away once again. He did extremely well, taking quickly into tier 2, getting the Alchemist in, doing great harass, delaying the tech on the side of Holly, then Thorzain getting his own expansion up. But it was really the counter-attack from Mackay that did most of the damage there. With a Potion of Greater Mana that he had, got a few more Water Elementals in and just cancelled the tech from Thorzain over and over again. It's great if you're already on keep tech and you have your second hero, but you're not able to get those Arcane Sanctums through at all, and then start losing infrastructure as well and resources, then of course it's going to be pretty tough to capitalize on that quick tech. So despite the higher hero levels at the beginning, Mackay doing great, getting also, because of that late second hero, a lot more experience on his Archmage and hit the heroic ability, his ult first. And then with a Mass Teleport, just basically dancing circles around his opponent. So very, very well done here. And it was pretty pleasant to watch too. So it was a very, very smart move that he made. And yeah, let's see who takes game number 3. I didn't quite expect this to be so close, to be honest with you. Now again, we have a host now on US West. So I'm actually hosting from California. Thorzain obviously being in Sweden, but because of, I'm not quite sure where Mackay is from, but the US host was apparently the best for both players, so there is a bit of delay on both sides, which is going to make Micro a bit more difficult than it usually would be. But still, we had some great fights here between the two of them, and also very good macro decisions in general. I mean, game 1 we talked a lot about Thorzain's strategy with the Griffins, the mass armor that he had on them, and then how he was just a little bit smarter using the mass teleportation. But then in game number 2 that got all turned on his head. So yeah, great series actually. You don't see that all too often in Mirror. It's like normally Mirror matchups are really something where it's like always a bit like, do I really like this? This one has been absolutely great so far. So now, both of them just creeping again, actually leaving the Tomb of Agility there, but getting a good item, Circlet of Nobility. The little stats boost that you get is definitely amazing. He's currently helping out. And on the other side, we're having the Ring of Loss, the Ring of Sorrow, the Ring of 1,000 Tears, the Ring of Protection +2. One of the items that you definitely don't want to get. So Mackay is from Chile, South America. It's one of the reasons why that host works out quite well for him. But yeah, so let's see if he actually changes his setup a little bit. This time actually, we, instead of just seeing one scout down the main base, we have 2 towers and one immediately upgraded into an arcane tower. Thorzain already on his tech, but we don't have an expansion attempt yet by Mackay. Instead, he's actually going for the Drake, and that is immediately shut down. Nice creep check here from Thorzain. Like, he's seen the coming a mile away, apparently. Oh, he just got a bit lucky, but he double checks the bottom right and is able to shut that down even before it started, and therefore costing his opponent quite a bit of time. So Mackay hasn't really done anything here yet. He hasn't. Okay, he's starting to tech now. But he's already behind in tech by quite a bit compared to Thorzain. So that's actually a really good start for the Swede. He's going to get the earlier second hero and should be able to get that also quite a bit higher in experience. Depends a little bit on the footman frenzy that we're having here in the middle of the map though, as both of them are trying to get control. Archmage with boots buys them. Super important item, of course, if you can get that, especially in non-mirror matchups for a human player. Incredibly important. It depends a lot on what you want to play as your second hero. But for example, for a Mountain King, it can be fantastic to just close the distance, get the extra Stormbolt in, make sure that you're forcing fights around that. For now, though, Mackay losing a footman. The creeps going for the ensnare against him didn't quite really favor him. We're having Thorzain also with boots, so both of them just immediately making sure that they're getting one at the shop, and that saves Thorzain's Archmage, at least for the time being. That being said, looking into the main base, the tech nearly completed for the Swedish human player, and he can immediately get that access to his second hero. That's what we're going to see any second here, as he's going to start to move straight towards the tavern. Probably going to be that Alchemist second again. Would be surprised if it's anything else. And Archmage is already on its way, so that should be the second hero here. I'm going to wait just for a few seconds until that tech is completed. And in the meantime, we're actually seeing a bit of a militia creep up here. So trying to get the higher hero. Gets that. Gauntlets of August Strength, which he can take later. And the creep is still on. Holly still wants that fountain. And if he can fight with a fountain of health to his back, that would be an advantage for him. Thorzain has scouted that out a long time ago, and he's just chasing his opponent off here, and it's a Naga. Naga C, which in this case, and the boots immediately passed over, can be way more aggressive with this right now and use that small timing window that he has to take a few more footmen out of the equation. So already a slight lead in experience, and now the focus onto the creeps down here as well. Can go for that red drake, no problem whatsoever. Lures it away from the fountain of health, repositions the Archmage to make sure that he has an easy time with this. Gloves of haste already in the back, so that's a great item for the two ranged heroes. And by now we are fully also with his tech completed into tier 2, so can go for that second hero, and it is going to be the Alchemist for him. Arcane Vault immediately being built. No additional structures just yet, whereas we're having the Arcane Sanctum already in play for his opponent. Nice item here, actually. If he plans to go into Knights again, finds the Scourge Bone Chimes, so we're going to see the Empiric Aura from the Dreadlord here. Aura items always welcome. For the Footman, it's already going to be great, but if you go into Knights then later on in the game, that Aura is just going to be absolutely stellar. It gives you so much more sustain in those fights. And Talisman of Evasion as well. Things are really looking good for Thorzain right now. He finds the items that he needs. We have again a Potion of Greater Mana for his opponent, so it's a bit of more pressure. Just look at those footmen alone. Probably going to try and get a few of those onto the fountain here to heal them up. Would be a bit of a shame losing them here against the camp. But he's actually playing with fire here. And yeah, one footman down against the creeps. One already gone, and he might lose more than that. Okay, micros them around and starts pushing them towards the fountain. Nope, not quite yet. Alchemist hitting level 2 right now. But if that army just moves over, then yeah, those footmen are all gone. And that's exactly what we're seeing here right now. Yep, Forked Lightning being used. He gets the item, Potion of Invulnerability, slows down the footman, and that is a disaster for Mackay right now. It was fantastic from Thorzain. He gets the creep, the Ogre Magi, he gets the item as well, has now a Potion of Invulnerability, Gloves of Haste, Boots of Speed on the Naga, Aura item, and the Talisman of Evasion. Couldn't really be any better, and at the same time he was in a position to take a lot of his opponent's units down. The footman here, and also denying experience. So 3 and 2 the levels on the side of Mackay, 32 supply for him, and we're having nearly level 3 Naga Siege now on the side of Thorzain, and he's at 48 supply already, bringing the militia in. Can take easily the camp here and then expand as well. Pendant of Energy, it's going to be great, very likely on the Naga for the added Forked Lightning, and this is just an absolute stellar game from the perspective of Thorzain right now. The human player from Sweden is doing so well here. And we are seeing Mackay now trying to at least get some proper items by focusing on the Orgalord on level 7. But this game so far has not been going well for him. Creepjacked several times, losing more and more of his units. Also 2 creeps, that doesn't help either. And now let's see what he at least gets at item. Losing another militia, that's the second one falling here. About to lose a third if he doesn't pay attention. Gets the Augur Magi here. And in the meantime, Thorzain is creeping to the left. Tomb of Intelligence +2. A Footmon falls as well. Mackay is absolutely getting destroyed by the creeps here. That's the 3rd unit falling in that particular encounter. And it's not even over just yet. So he is not looking good with this. And at the same time, we're seeing Thorzain just getting more and more. Sobi Mask now even can put that also onto the Naga. He's actually running out of space for the items. A Circlet 2 gets the item over here. Cutgas Pipe of Insight. Jesus, that kid is so unlucky. He gets the Aura item, and then it's the one that he doesn't want because he already has the Aura on the Archmage, and we're having the Alchemist not even on level 3. So he goes up against a nearly level 4 Archmage, a level 3 Naga, and things are just looking horrible for him. I mean, this kid is currently getting wrecked. There's an expansion for Thorzain. He has 48 supply. Mackay has 41. This third game is just everything that Mackay didn't want to happen. It's Thorzain's map choice. Game number 2, Secret Valley, was the choice of Mackay, and he played fantastic. Oh, sorry, Terna Stand was the map choice of his opponent. He played fantastic there. But now that we're on map number 3, this is Thorzain's choice, and you can tell how comfortable he is here. Sobi Mask plus Brilliance Aura, endless mana for him, double Scroll of Healing, we're having the Pendant of Energy here on the Naga, and of course the Forked Lightning is going to do so much work. I mean, just look at that mana pool. That's 600 mana that we're right now having there. The same amount of mana as he has his hit points. The Creep Check is happening again, forcing the TP. Warsong Battle Drums, at least he gets a decent item out of it this time. Still loses a Priest and has to use the Town Portal at the same time. So you win some, you lose some, I'd say. I mean, the item at least is a huge advantage for him. But then again, dropping a Priest and losing the Town Portal is a big issue. And the Naga is just racking through this more and more, taking one hero down, also one unit down after another, and hitting level 4 as well. So double level 4 against level 3 and level 3. Massive advantage for Thorzain. Massive advantage for him. One attack upgrade on the Spellbreakers. That's it. Both sides were the same, but this expansion, this is really the big difference. If Thorzain can defend the expand and he's sitting at 63 supply against 50, if he can defend here, then it's basically lights out. Mackay needs a small miracle. He needs a kill, a surround, something that really helps him to push this through, but there's still that aura to consider. Scourge, Bone Chimes, only helping the Footman out right now, but that's at least something. And here comes the attack. Here comes the idea to just take some of those water elements out, get the additional experience. Archmage, Alchemist, the battle between the two of them here as the Alchemist is starting to move in, but the Naga is controlling this really well. Can of course get another Forked Lightning in any second against that backline. Thorzain at 65 supply already, Mackay at 44, trying to somehow manage that fight here, but one Forked Lightning after another, dropping that backline, and already no militia left anymore, only peasants in play. The priests are falling, the GG is called as Mackay yields the field of battle, and Thorzain is victorious with a 2-1 victory over his human opponent.